best car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
Well, good news. I have the owner of Low Overhead Country, also known as Frontier Motors. Well, he's known as Iven Streckel. Iven Streckel, is here ready and willing and certainly more than able to take any phone inquiries from you. Let's say you wanted to get the price of a car, or truck, or an SUV you're thinking of buying or selling or trading it in. Call us, 478-3116. For the next 30 minutes, I will connect you to Iven Streckel just like this. Good morning, Iven.
Hey, Don. Thanks for the introduction. And Don is right. This is the COA radio show, but we're also videotaping this for our Blab TV customers, so you might be watching this on satellite or cable, so it's not a live show. We do record this twice a month. And we one of the reasons that Don and I have been doing the show for 22 years, other than the fact we're trying to get you into Frontier Motors to sell you a car, I guess that's the underlying motive. But it's to let people out there know that there is a dealership in Pensacola that is here to help you when you're in the market for a car. And it might not be today. A lot of times I have customers come in and say, I've been listening to your radio show for 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, and I never needed a car, but now I do. So I'm here at your doorstep, and I want to get some information. And that's one of the things that we provide when you're in the car market, even if you're going to buy brand new. Frontier Motors, by the way, is an independent used car dealership. We do not sell new cars, even though we have cars with very low miles on that are like new. But because we don't sell, because we're not a franchise dealership, we can't claim that we sell brand new cars. But we're here to help you if you decide to purchase a brand new car. A couple of ways that I can help you by giving you advice. Number one would be to share the invoice cost of a brand new car for you. And I've got the new car cost guides at the dealership. And the Consumer's Reports, on the back of every Consumer's Reports, they actually advertise that they sell invoices to a customer that is going to be in the market, because if you know the invoice of a car, it might help you get a better deal. And they charge about $17 for an invoice. We don't charge anything for that information. The other thing you can also do while you're at the dealership getting that new car cost, if you're going to buy a brand new car, is get an opinion on what your trade is worth at no charge. It takes me about 15 minutes to do an appraisal. We take your car around the block. We do an assessment of the car. We scan the ID number. We do the history report just to make sure that you know what the history of your own car is. Some people don't know. I've had this happen once or twice where we do an appraisal on a car, and it shows that it has a clouded history. What I mean by clouded means that the customer purchased a vehicle that's been in a major accident but didn't know about it because he either didn't run the history report or it was before we had history reports. Now, I think Carfax reports, we started using Carfax about 7 or 8 years ago. We used AutoCheck before that, which is another provider which we still use, by the way. So we run both AutoCheck and Carfax. AutoCheck I think we had for 10 years now. So prior to that, if you got a car before that and there weren't any history reports, you could be driving a car that's been in wreck. And there's nothing wrong with a car that's been in wreck as long as it's been fixed properly. But you definitely want to know about it because it does compromise the value of the car. If you go out today and buy a car that's been in a major accident, let's say you don't run the history report. By the way, the dealer or the private individual does not have to tell you a vehicle's been in an accident. They only have to tell you that if it's been totaled. So if the vehicle's been totaled, flood damage, odometer problems, lemon law buybacks, those are all things that have to be on the title, and you have to be, by law, have to be made aware of that. But if a vehicle gets into a bad accident and then gets fixed and gets resold, that's not illegal to not disclose that. So you have to do your due diligence in the state of Florida to find out if the vehicle's been in an accident, or especially a major accident. And again, I'm not saying not to buy a vehicle that's been in an accident, but it should be at a lesser price than one that has been in an accident. And it's one of the things, by also a little asterisk on that, we do letters of diminished values for customers so that if you do get into a bad accident and it wasn't your fault, the other insurance company that caused the accident should pay you for loss of value. Because if you bring that car to me after it's fixed and I appraise that car for you, it's not going to be worth the same because I'm going to disclose it to the next buyer. And most people would walk away because they're scared. They're scared it wasn't fixed properly. Other people will say, well, hold on. Maybe if I can get a really good deal on the car, I'm going to get it inspected by somebody who knows what they're doing. If it was fixed properly, maybe I can save a bunch of money. And we use the example of a BMW 5 Series that we sold, I think it was last year we sold this car, that the person put it on consignment with Frontier Motors, at a $5,000 diminished value, which, by the way, we helped them get the diminished value letter, so they got back to the insurance company, and they were able to fix the vehicle, bring it back to us to let us sell it for them. They had bought a new car in the meantime, and we sold that car immediately because it was such a good deal, and it was fixed at the Sandy Sansing Body Shop, and it was used brand new parts. You couldn't tell the car was in an accident. So these are examples that I'm talking about, that when you are in the market, we're the go-to dealer for free advice. And we don't do this to make you feel obligated that you have to buy a vehicle from us, because you don't. But if we give you free advice, maybe this time around you're going to buy wherever you choose. But the next time, and in the meantime, when somebody asks you, where should we go to get a deal on a car, you talk about Frontier Motors. Well, I want go see those guys at Frontier Motors. They helped me get a deal. I bought a brand new car over at Sandy Sansing or Pete Moore or wherever. I bought a brand new car. They helped me get a deal. They told me what my trade-in is worth, and they weren't mad that I went and bought. So I'm going to recommend them to buy a car. The other thing we do also is we are the alternative to new. And what I mean by that is that because we don't sell new cars, our whole claim to fame is to save you a bunch of money. And even Dave Ramsey talks about that. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. He's the money guru in town.
Hey, Dave Ramsey here. For almost a decade, I've been telling you about my friends at Frontier Motors in Pensacola. The biggest reason is they help my listeners save thousands of dollars when purchasing a slightly used car over a brand new one. Consumer Reports says the average new car depreciates a whopping $9,200 in the first year alone. That's crazy. So if you're thinking new, don't. Go see Frontier Motors and see how much they can save you on a current year car with very low miles. And if your goal is to get out of debt, bring Frontier Motors your car, and they can write you a check on the spot. Frontier Motors can also do consignments, and they don't charge a fee or a commission. Frontier Motors have been helping the people in the Pensacola area for 21 years. They are the go-to dealer for free advice when it comes to buying or selling a car. Please go see my friends at Frontier Motors. And don't forget to tell them Dave Ramsey sent you.
Well, he does that so good. He does it takes 60 seconds to say what it takes me half an hour to say. So he does a really good job with putting all the things that Frontier Motor does into a 60-second package. And I double-checked. I do have the article from Consumer Reports right here. It was in April's edition, and he's right. They said that last year the average price, selling price of a car was $34,000 brand new. That's the average. Higher, some are higher, some are lower. And the first-year depreciation on that $34,000 transaction was 27%, which is $9,180 lost in the first year. So if you decide I want to buy a brand new car on the average, and let's say well, I don't want to pick on a local dealer. Let's say it's a Lexus, for example. And I'll give you an example of a Lexus I'm talking about, a $100,000 Lexus that I drove to the show here. Mm-hmm. It's that new sports car they have. You can buy that car. It's got 9,000 miles on it, Don. It's not even a year old.
Right.
You can buy it for $21,000 less than a new one. $21,000 less than a new one. And it's about 7 months old with 9,100 miles on it. And that's just an example. We've got cars in stock. Got a Chevy Trax. If you don't know what that is, that's a small SUV they came out with last year. It's got 76 miles on it. So if you're going to compare it to both the local Chevy dealers, compare the out-the-door figure on a new one, and then look at the one that I have happens to be a 2018 with 70 miles on it, and let's see how our out-the-door figure compares with theirs. And what about a Buick Encore? That's their small SUV, a beautiful Encore, which has got 100 miles on it. I've got a Camry with 200 miles on it. We have the new Genesis, the G80 Genesis. If you don't know what Genesis is now Hyundai's Highline division. Most people know that Lexus is Toyota's Highline division, that Acura is Honda's Highline division, Infiniti is Nissan's Highline division, and Hyundai just came out with one a couple years ago, and they called it the Genesis. Their first go-around is called the G80. They also make a G90, and this is an example of what I'm talking about. This car has a window sticker of $56,000. The car has 400 miles on it. We have it for sale for $46,000. So when we're talking about depreciation, that's exactly what I'm saying. We have a Lexus, an ES 350 with 600 miles on it. We have a Tacoma with 1,500 miles on it. The new Chrysler Pacifica minivan has got 1,600 miles. I can bore you to death because I've got hundreds of cars like this. We have almost 400 cars in inventory. Half of them, about 200 of these, are cars that are within 1 year old, that are under factory warranty, that are very, very clean. that I don't even consider them used cars, even though I have to sell them as used cars, that are going to save you thousands of dollars compared to a brand new one. How much can you save? We sold a Corolla a couple of months ago, and we only saved the customer $2,000, but it only had like 100 miles on it. So the customer said, for $2,000, I'll buy one with 100 miles on it. And sometimes when you're looking at an expensive car like the Lexus, you can save $100,000. I made a funny example the other day because we actually have a Rolls Royce on consignment, and this is probably the biggest example of depreciation. We had the window sticker in the glove box on this Rolls Royce. It was a $525,000 car. $525,000. It's staggering. $500,000. We have it for sale for let's say $20,000. I forget if it's $325,000, but let's say it's $325,000. It has 3,000 miles on it. That gentleman lost $200,000, and he only drove the car for 3,600 miles. So that's staggering, and that's why we're getting the word out that if you're in the market for a new car, before you sign the bottom line, why don't you check out Frontier Motors? Just come on in, spend 15, 20 minutes with us, and we'll tell you how much a 2018 model would cost with very low miles on it. And we'll give you an out-the-door figure, because sometimes it gets a little touchy as far as what are you really paying, because you see all these news, I see the newscasts and the advertisement, $12,000 off a window sticker, $10,000 off a window sticker. And a lot of times it gets very confusing because you don't qualify for all those incentives that they're advertising. If you did, you could probably get that much off, but nobody does because nobody qualifies for all the incentives. The other thing also is, what's the bottom line? Even if it's a good deal on what they're selling, if they charge a lot of extra fees and they don't give you a lot of money for your car, the bottom line goes way higher than it should. And that's why at Frontier Motors, we advertise that we will give you an out-the-door bottom line figure in writing. That includes the taxes, the title, the dock fee, license plate fee, everything that you could possibly think of. If you have a payoff, we're going to call for your payoff and add that in. So you might want to know your payoff if you go car shopping. If you want them to compare apples to apples, you want just one figure if you're going to go car shopping. If you're going to go to 5 dealers, you want an out-the-door figure with 5 dealers. And make sure they include that license plate. Some of the license plates these days can run as much as $500. So you want to make sure that that's included, because a lot of times they'll include the taxes, but they won't include the, because what they do in the state of Florida, the dealer has to go get the license plate, and then you have to pay them. So we want to make sure that's prepaid. At Frontier Motors, we figure out exactly what it is. We add that into that bottom line. So when you come in later on to pick up your tag, there's no balance due. It's all included. So these are just some of the things that we're talking about. But the biggest thing, I think, is the depreciation we're talking about. Now, if you keep a car for 2 years, they talked about, Dave Ramsey talked about the first year is 27%. In the second year, you lose $12,500. So if you bought a $34,000 car, in 2 years, you've lost $12,500. In 3 years, $15,000. And in 4 years, you've lost $19,000. In 4 years, it's 56%. So if I'm buying that car at 56% lower 4-year-old car, even when I add a profit on there and add for shipping, if I buy at the auction, you're still going to save almost half of what that car was brand new. And you can get a pretty nice car. The average car age right now on the road is 11 years, which is staggering. That's an average. I never thought it was that high. But one of the, I think it was J.D. Power, just came up with that statistic that the average person's car has 93,000 miles on it and is 11 years old, which means that you probably, if you're the average, you're probably due buy a car. Now, one reason that a person can go 11 years on the average in the United States is because they build the cars better and better. And the reliability is much better than when I got in the car business in 1975. The average age of the car on the road was 7 years. That's because the cars didn't last as long as they do now. People are keeping the cars longer because they do last longer. It's not unusual to get a car in trade with 130 to 150,000 miles on and still have a lot of life left in the car that you could resell the car and get that motor to go 200 to 250,000 miles. And matter of fact, I have one of our reps from the auction in the other day. He's driving a PT Cruiser, which was never that good of a car, a PT Cruiser with the original engine and the original transmission. He's got over 500,000 miles on that car because he changes the oil religiously. And obviously, it's mostly not city driving. He doesn't deliver pizzas. He's on the road a lot, back and forth from Atlanta and Orlando. But amazing how long a car will last. And of course, my job is at talking and trading more often. I always make fun of if people bought cars when they needed cars, I would be out of business. A lot of people love to get a new car, so they don't they don't keep the car for the life of the car. They'll keep the car for 3 or 4 years and get a new one. I've got some customers that come in every year and trade for a different car because they can. And they want to. They want to get something new. A lot of times it's the new safety features, and that's one of the things I was going to touch on while we're doing the show is that a lot of people are trading just for safety features, which years ago I kind of joked that the general public never asked about safety. I never got anybody saying, hey, what's the crash rating of this car? And I always wonder how people don't ask that. People don't care. They just assume that when a manufacturer builds a car, it's going to be a safe car. Well, that's not necessarily true because there's still a list, even in this Consumer Reports, of cars that didn't pass the safety test, the crash rating. But here, what Consumer Reports did a review on safety features. Do you need them or don't you need them? And almost everything, including the rear camera, I don't know if anybody knows this, but every 2018 model car or newer has to have a backup camera. In 2017, it was an option. Even on a Lexus, it was an option. On a BMW, on a Mercedes, it was an option. 2018, every car sold in the U.S. has to have a rear camera. The CR Consumers Reports view is got to have it. It's a must-have feature. Forward collision warning and auto brake. Most people kind of know what that is, and that's a really cool feature that if somebody jams on their brakes ahead of you and you're texting like Ryan's doing right now, and right. If he's blind spot monitoring and assist everybody. I'm losing deals on cars that don't have blind spot, especially with older people. And I put myself in that category, Don. I'm 62 years old. And
you don't look it.
Thank you. But my neck is so kinked, I can't turn around, so I'm trying to figure out, especially some of the cars I drive. I tend to drive some of the sportier cars like this, like I was driving a Corvette for a while, and now I've got this Lexus little hot rod car. Yeah. Very bad blind spot, but it has blind spot monitoring, so I don't have to turn my head if I'm on the expressway.
Little radar unit, basically.
It's a little radar unit. It'll tell you if there's somebody next to you, and you can set it to either buzz so you can hear it, or just it's a light. Mm-hmm. So I just check the light in the mirror and just have to look. So blind spot, and I've lost deals on blind spot, especially with older people that said no, it's a must-have feature. A lot of people say, well, I want the feature, but I'll buy it without it. But and if you're young, you don't care because you can turn your neck. But I'm not in that category, and so I like the blind spot. I won't drive a car without the blind spot. I think it's a must-have feature, and we're getting people to trade cars in just for safety features. I had two sales last month where a customer bought an Avalon and bought a Toyota Highlander just because that's what they had, but they had the older ones that didn't have it. So they upgraded knowing they didn't really have to get a vehicle. Toyota Highlander is one of those cars that were on the list that would go, and so was the Avalon and the Camry, most likely to go over 150,000 miles. So it's a very, very good car for longevity, even though, of course, my job is to talk you into trading more often and get that economy flowing. And fortunately for me to say that is that they're going to have, it's possible that they're going to have another record new car year. Last year wasn't a record, but it was close. The year before, the record in new cars was 17.5 million cars. And last year, I think they sold 17.2 million, and they're on track to maybe get it close to 17.5 million, which means a lot of people, Don, are not listening to the show. They're not doing the Dave Ramsey thing because they're doing exactly what we tell them not to do, which is buy a brand new car. But hopefully you won't be one of those people. Have somebody else buy that brand new car because I need somebody to buy new cars. I get excited when new car sales are good because that means I'm going to get that car one day. And a lot of people are turning to short-term leasing, which is even better for me. I've got people that are doing one-year leases. I don't know how they can even afford a one-year lease. But these cars are coming off a lease in 1 and 2 years. Used to be if you leased a car, it was always 4 years. And now the average is between 2 and 3 years. So I'm getting some of these cars that are coming off these leases with very low miles, still under factory warranty, and they had that huge depreciation. So I'm happy that somebody's getting these brand new cars because that means that I come in and I'll buy these cars at a bargain, still be able to mark them up at a profit so I can stay in business and give you a huge savings. Dave Ramsey talked about consignments, and he mentioned that we don't charge a commission. So people sometimes wonder, well, how do you make money on consignments? How do you do it for nothing? No, I don't do it for nothing. But what I do, I don't charge a commission. I don't charge a flat, like a percentage, where some dealerships charge 10%. And I had a boat that I listed recently that I was selling a boat, and the commission on that was a 10% commission, which is quite hefty if it's an expensive boat or car in that matter. So what we do is we just establish a price that's good for everybody involved. So the way that the consignments work is you bring the car and let me assess the value of the vehicle. Let's just say that the wholesale value is $20,000, which means that I'll write you a check for $20,000. You say, nah, Ivan, that's not really enough. I'd really like to get a little bit more than that. And then I'll offer a consignment at maybe $21,000 or $21,500. So the way that works is that you're going to net $21,500, which is $1,500 more than wholesale. And I do all the work. So there's no commission. I don't charge a percentage. I don't charge a flat fee. The way that I make money is anything over $21,500 is mine. So if I sell the vehicle for $22,500, I'm still making $1,000 on the deal. The person that I'm buying it from is still getting a good deal because that's the average market value right now is $22,500. The book value might be $25,000, but we're going to sell that car for under book value. And so they're getting a good deal, and the person that owns the vehicle is getting a good deal because they don't have to do any of the work. They don't have to worry about warranty the car. I'm going to warranty the car. By the way, any vehicle that you buy from Frontier Motors that's less than 10 years old, I put a 10-year, 100,000-mile drivetrain warranty on that car at no charge. So if you're buying a 1-year-old car, you're going to get 9 more years on the engine transmission. Even though the factory does give you some warranty, most manufacturers are going with a 5 or 6 year engine warranty. I'm going to extend that up to 10 years. From the original in-service date, or up to 100,000 miles on the speedometer. So if you're buying, for example, if you're buying this Dodge Ram I've got, it's got 100 miles on it, you're going to get a drivetrain warranty up to another 99,900 miles on that particular vehicle. So that, and I do the same thing with the consignment. When we sell consignment, you get a warranty. So I'm warrantying the car for the person that I'm selling it for. I'm also doing the advertising. I'm also taking a trade, and I can also help with financing. So don't put your car on Craigslist. Don't put it on AutoTraderCars.com. Bring it to Frontier Motors. Either let me write a check for that car or let me do a consignment. And now, of course, with consignment, you have to be able to drop the car off. If that's the only car that you're driving, of course, you're not going to do a consignment. A lot of people also, when they sell me their car, a lot of them are in the car market. So what happens a lot of times is people come in and say, well, I'm going to buy a brand new Lexus at Lexus & Mobile. I heard the radio show that you buy cars, so I'm here to sell you my used Lexus. And they're going to go buy a brand new one. But while they're waiting for me to appraise their car, or one of my managers to appraise the car, they see a 2018 RX 350 on the lot with 2,000 miles on it. Next thing you know, the question is, well, how much would that be? And next thing, they're driving our car, and they're buying a car from us because they don't have to go to Lexus Mobile, and they're saving thousands and thousands of dollars. So it works both ways, and sometimes I can't talk a customer out of buying a brand new, or maybe I don't have the right color. Maybe I've got a white one, they want a black one, or vice versa. So they say, no, I don't want, I'm not. And then the next thing I'll say is, well, why don't you let me just find you the car and still save you the money? We have a great locate program, and most people don't know that. With the Manheim auctions in our area, that includes Orlando. I call that our area because I have a buyer that drives to Orlando every week. He's on his way down there right now because the auction is tomorrow. And what he does is go down there, and they have 25,000 cars in our area available every week, between 20 and 25,000. That's a lot of cars. And I can list those cars off alphabetically. So I go to Lexus, I go to RX 350 if that's what you're looking for. I can tell you there's 35 of them running this week, all different colors. It gives me pictures of the car, and I can buy that car and have it back here within a week if the vehicle is available with the equipment. And once in a while, people get real fussy. I want a white car with a tan interior, so, and they make different color interiors. So sometimes it gets a little tricky where it might take more than a week. But I'm giving you an example that if I don't have the car that you're looking for, we have no problem doing the locate, and I can give you a price on that car before I get it. And it's subject to your inspection. People say, well, how can I buy a car, a used car that I can't see? Well, you don't. You just give me a commitment that you will buy it as long as it passes your inspection. So if it comes in, and it's just like I said, the non-smoker, clean history report, the color, we've already given you the price. We told you what your trade's worth. We've already figured payments if you're going to finance it. So all the questions are answered other than the fact, are you going to like the car? And we normally will have a car like that to test drive, so you can test drive the one we had. We had a customer the other day looking for a G80, and we've got ours in stock, but ours is black. They don't want a black one. They said, I don't care what color you give me, but I don't want black. Mm-hmm. How about yellow? Well, I don't want a yellow one either. How about purple? No, I don't want a purple one either.
Orange,
so,
yeah.
They want a regular color. Regular color in their mind is white, silver, gray, gold, but they don't want a black one. So I'm doing so they test drove mine to make sure they liked it because they'd never driven one before. They loved it. I gave them consumers reports that said the Genesis was the number one car out there. You probably can't see it, but I'm showing it here right here. Number one car, according to Consumers Reports, is a Genesis. It beat out Audi, which was number 2. Beat out BMW, which was number 3. Lexus was number 4. Porsche was number 5. Kia made the top 10. number 6, then Subaru, then Tesla, then Honda, and then Toyota. Top 10. Toyota being the least best car in the top 10. Can you believe that? Toyota was always the number 1, and not anymore. They're in the top 10. Genesis number 1, which means they make a great car. Matter of fact, the last 3 Genesis I sold it to Lexus buyers. I came in and said, I had 2 of them last month. They came and said, I want a 460. Lexus 460 is a beautiful sedan. I said, well, before you make the commitment, and one lady had 4 of them, bought 4 of them in the last decade,
right.
and bought 4 460, came in to buy another one. Drove off in a Genesis. How'd that happen? Well, it's got a better warranty. It's rated higher for reliability. It drives as good, if not better, than the Lexus, and it's $10,000 less. It's a no-brainer. If you can get over the stigma that it's not a Lexus, that it's a Genesis, and that Genesis is technically a Highline Hyundai. You know, and people always had that back in their mind. I'm not buying no Hyundai. I get that all the time. How about a Hyundai? No, I don't want no Hyundai. Well, if you read the Consumer's Reports, they're saying the Hyundai is a better car than sometimes than a Toyota and the Honda. And so is the Kia, which is, by the way, if people don't know that, they're kind of co-owned. Kia and Hyundai are owned. They don't go down the same assembly line, but they're owned by the same manufacturer.
Korean.
So anyways, Korean car. And more Korean cars coming over, and Chinese are making a move. The Chinese are coming with cars. By next year, you will see Chinese dealerships going up. Not China, but owned by U.S. people, but they're going to be China-made cars. One of the first ones coming over, Don, a lot of people don't know this, but the Buick Envision, if you haven't heard of that is Buick's midsize SUV. Very, very good car. Is built in China. No, first General car built in China is an Envision. And I thought that would kill the sale. Mm-hmm. They're selling like hotcakes. Buick Envisions are selling like people don't care they're built in China. So
what's the name of it again?
Envision. Envision.
Okay.
So nice little car. Only got a couple of minutes left. We got a Facebook page, so like us on Facebook, and we also have our inventory on Facebook, and we've got this is going to be on YouTube. So if you just go to YouTube and type in Frontier Motors, you're going to see my ugly bug. If you don't watch this, if you're really, really bored at 3 o'clock in the morning, this would be a great thing to watch and get some education what's going on in the car industry. And we also have a great website. So if you just Google Frontier Motors, we're the first Frontier Motors that pops up. There's about 5 or 6 of them in the nation called Frontier, but we are the largest, so we pop up first. We have almost 400 cars in inventory. We're the largest Frontier Motors nation. We're one of the largest independent used car dealers that have only one location, and we sell about 200 cars a month, which means I need to buy 200 cars a month, and that leads me back into what I was talking about before, that I would love to buy your car. You know, if I buy a car at the auction, the advantage of buying at the auction is they would guarantee the cars, which a private individual doesn't. The disadvantage is I've got to pay to ship it. I've got to pay the auction. I got to pay my buyer. So that's why I advertise that I would rather buy a private individual car. So if you're selling your car, please bring it to us. You'll be surprised that you're not going to be taken advantage. People always think that when a car dealer buys a car, they're going to offer you such a ridiculous figure. And the reason they do that is because some dealerships do that. But you won't have that happen at Frontier Motors. We'll be very fair and show you how to come up with the figure. Frontier Motors, 230 Beverly Parkway. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.